First things first, let's go over the flight performance on these planes and cover how to fly them. Given that these planes are based entirely on the airframe of the Yak-3, it should come as no surprise that they perform nearly identically with only minor differences from their predecessors. This makes the gameplay quite familiar when it comes to the capabilities of these aircraft, though managing your energy is a bit different because of the engines. Here I'm going to show you a couple of engagements to help you visualize some of the strengths they bring to the table. First are a couple of fights against prop planes, which will help highlight one of the best things about the Yak-15, which is its high speed energy retention. This strength can be used against nearly every prop out there and allows you to bait your opponent into bleeding their speed, which gives you a good shot at taking them down. Even in situations where they come into the fight with an advantage, your plane is able to easily manipulate that energy and turn it into offense, either through forcing an overshoot or outright bleeding them in a sustained fight. This can make you a very hard player to deal with, though the majority of pilots won't even know that until you've already removed one of their wings.
Hot, 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 hot.
Now we have a fight against a jet, which showcases the other characteristic that makes these Yaks so good, which is their high-speed maneuverability. In typical Soviet fashion, these planes excel at dealing with the weaknesses of their opponents, though this does require a little bit of practice and skill, as well as a bit of positioning to pull off. So long as you keep your speed without getting to the point of compressing, these Yaks can easily outmaneuver any of the jets they will encounter, though the one weakness you may run into with these planes is your weak acceleration, so keep in mind to make your opportunity count while it lasts. Being early jets, you rely heavily on being up to speed to maintain your performance, which in basic terms means your engine works better the faster you are. This is because jets rely on the intake of air to produce thrust, and the slower you go, the less air being forced into the engine. This can be remedied by following one very basic rule, which is to never fly under 350 kilometers per hour. If you can handle this, then this plane will fly like an absolute dream, and you will already sit ahead of some of the other chucklefucks that thought playing an early jet was a good idea. Once you get into the fight, you will want to take care to keep your plane's speed under 720 kilometers per hour, otherwise you risk having your dreams of a positive KD quite literally ripped away. My suggestion here is to try to stick to targets that don't force you into a dive, and instead try to only do so if there are no other opponents to go for. There are also a few enemies I would suggest treating with a bit of caution, so I'm going to list some of the planes and situations that will make your life a living hell. The Mustangs and Spitfires are going to be the obvious pain in the ass, as they are for nearly every early jet, simply due to their amazing engines and high-speed performances. The only chance you have at dealing with these enemies is to either isolate them or to approach with enough energy to overwhelm them. Either way, the only weakness they have is their terrible low-speed maneuverability, so trying to bleed their speed is the best way to fight them, though you should avoid slowing down too much yourself. You should also avoid ending up near the ground in your fights unless you are isolated. Being near the ground isn't usually an issue for the Yak-15, though when you get into sustained fights, you will eventually lose a bunch of your airspeed, which opens you up to attacks from other enemies. The simple solution here is to set a hard limit on how low you go, unless you're in a one-on-one fight or maybe in a boom and zoom scenario, which I would recommend to be somewhere around a kilometer. Something else you need to know when playing planes like the Yak-15 is that if you are playing it just to grind to the top of the tech tree, it can be hard to appreciate the value in flying planes from a transitional period in tech rather than reaching for the next piece of hardware. While this thrill of playing something new can be addicting, it does strip away your ability to outright enjoy some of the most beautiful planes in the game. If you would like to see more videos like this, then go ahead and check out the next plane in the Yak line, the Yak-23.